Win the VAT battle. Who will win that? We're continuing our ringside commentary on this tug of war between the FIRS and some state governments over value added tax, and it's not stopping at VAT. Here's today's big hard fact: all 36 states are in a dispute with the federal government over stamp duties. Some analysts are suggesting that this is all because as oil revenues dwindle and debt servicing costs rise, government at all three tiers is running out of fiscal runway. And they're desperate. All of them are desperate for every little bit of extra cash. So it's a battle for who should not just collect what revenue stream, but also among whom those revenues should be shared and according to what formula. Right? States like Lagos and Rivers say that the state that generates should keep all the generation or the lion's share of the money. Others like Katsina say that the economy is too interlinked for such a simplistic rule. Here on Hard Facts, we're looking at the pros, the cons of these positions, and everything in between. Coming back is joining us via Zoom today. He's a fiscal policy partner and Africa tax leader at PwC, Taiwo Oyedele. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Sandra. It's a pleasure to be back.
All right. And my second guest is in the studio today. He is a product management executive as well as a public policy analyst. Chief Andy Oboforibo, good to have you back on the show.
Always good to be here, Sandra.
All right, Lagos, we want to hear from you as our third guest, as always. Do you support the River State's move to decentralize VAT collection and distribution? Also, let's have your questions for our two guests. Women call us on 01465-7190. Men call us on 0700-993-993-993. Before we discuss the efficiency and merits of federal or state governments collecting VAT or other taxes, there's this question of legality, which, of course, is why the matter went to the court to begin with, right? River State says that the federal government doesn't have the constitutional power to collect VAT. Federal government says, now we get we have the VAT Act to support us. Isn't this first and foremost a legal issue? And if it's a legal issue, who's on the right side? I'll start with you, Chief Oboforibo, because we haven't heard your thoughts on this issue at all. And then I'll ask that same question to Taiwo. Chief?
Yeah, thank you, Sandra. So, this thing is a very simple, straightforward thing. Mm-hmm. Before the Fourth Republic, under military rule, decree was passed enabling the federal government to collect VAT. At the time that was done, that was in the interregnum between the Second Republic and the defunct Third Republic before the Fourth Republic started. So, military rule, anything goes, and there was no constitution. But since 1999, we've been operating under a constitution. Now, a lot of the military decrees, if not all, that survived the handover in 1999 were basically converted into acts, into laws, So they're no longer decrees, they're now laws. However, the Constitution is very clear. It doesn't matter if a law existed before the Constitution. It's not a matter of age. It's a question of supremacy. The Constitution is supreme. There is no law in Nigeria that can supersede the Constitution. And what we're hearing from the court is simply that the Constitution does not explicitly give the federal government the power to collect VAT. And so VAT is not on the exclusive list. And when you look at the concurrent list of the Constitution, it clearly gives conditions for which extra laws or which extra taxes the federal government can collect. So it talks about specific income taxes. But it is also silent on VAT for the federal government, while giving the state governments blanket powers to raise taxes, to create taxes. So by the interpretation of the High Court, we will see what the Appeal Court and Supreme Court say. But what the Appeal Court and what the High Court has said is that the Constitution doesn't give the federal government power to collect VAT. So it doesn't matter how many, you can write 1 billion laws, it doesn't matter. As long as that power is on the Constitution, it's null and void. So that's where I stand. If the federal government is claiming the law, the VAT, whatever laws have been passed as their power for collecting VAT, then they're saying that those laws are supreme over the Constitution, which is treason. And then we've also seen, we've heard it now from the senators saying that the federal government, yes, approached them for a constitutional amendment. So clearly, the federal government realizes the Constitution is not on their side. It's just that simple.
Taiwo?
Yeah, so I think maybe it's not as simple as Shib is making it sound.
Okay.
I think first and foremost, I don't think it's a debate over the ownership of VAT. Even the existing national VAT law recognizes that it's a state tax, right? So it's also not a conversation between federal governments and states. It's actually, in my view, a conversation about whether states are getting their fair share relative to other states. Some states feel like they are contributing more than what they're getting. If you are giving 85% of a tax to, local governments and states, it's clearly a state tax. And by the way, the VAT law replaced the sales tax, which was at the time being collected at the state level. So the issue that I see is mostly, in my view, a technical issue around collection. And number two is issue around equity and fairness. Are you treating, different states relatively fairly in terms of how they're sharing the revenue? I'm not sure that I'll take the view that it is very clear in the law. I'll say it's not clear in the Constitution. So I think it was just a lazy job. I just have to put it the way I feel. It was a very lazy job that we've been collecting VAT for 6 years. And then we're writing the Constitution and we did not think about putting it somewhere. Because as it is, it's not anywhere in the law. It's not anywhere in the Constitution. It's not in exclusive. It's not in concurrent. There are people who have actually argued that the whole of the VAT itself is entirely unconstitutional, whether it's even by state or whether it's by federal government. So we don't know where this debate is getting to. And the other possibility is the fact that even if this position is sustained all the way to the Supreme Court, it will mean that the states will collect VAT within their territory. What the court has not told us is who to collect between interstates and who is going to collect on international services and who is going to collect on importation of goods. So that, as of last year, was about 60% of the VAT collected. So it's significant.
Okay. I wonder if Chief wants to respond to that or if we should move on to the next point.
Well, I think I have to respond. As Taiwo said, there's collection. And I think we should all look at the exclusive and concurrent lists because collection is mentioned. Collection is mentioned in the concurrent list. What the concurrent list on Constitution says on collection is that if a federal government has the right to enact a tax, to create a tax, the federal government also has the right to decide whether or not states should collect that tax on its behalf. So that is where collection begins and ends in the concurrent list. The concurrent list also specifies which taxes the federal government has the right to raise and which tax, and then the same thing in the exclusive list. But the concurrent list, so by doing that, the concurrent list has limited the federal government's power to generate taxes, to create taxes, to the ones it has listed. But then the concurrent list, and it's there, it's written in black and white, gives state governments the right to raise taxes, blanket. So VAT is not talked about in the Constitution. So if it's not talked about, then we have to say, who does the Constitution give power to create a new tax that is not listed? The only person is the state governments. The federal government is limited by the language of the Constitution. And I agree completely with Taiwo that it's just laziness, that they already had the VAT decree when they were writing the Constitution. They could have just easily written in the Constitution that federal government can create can raise VAT. But they didn't. And because they didn't, the federal government simply cannot. But state governments, by the concurrent list, have a right to create any tax they like. So it's just black and white.
Taiwo, do you want to respond to that, or should we move on to the next point?
No, but I think let's move on. Let's move on. It's a question of interpretation. Even among lawyers,
Yes.
they haven't been able to agree. So the lawyers start agreeing on any issue, the world will come to an end.
Now, I want to stay on that point you raised before Chief responded, Taiwo, about multiple taxation points. And this is a question you'll address for me as well, Chief, after
Okay.
Taiwo talks. So this multiple taxation points and preserving the VAT chain between states, like I mentioned at the top of the show, we have other federations that have their federating units setting different VAT rates, right? So obviously the tax world must have developed standard procedures for handling this. What are they? How could Nigerian states go about implementing them if they end up with the power to set VAT?
Yes, I love that question, Sandra. And this is one of my biggest concerns. So let's even say that states want to start collecting VAT, right? Why are they going back to 1993 when we are in 2021 and they could have just taken it from 2021 and moved forward? In fact, as of this 2021, the national VAT being collected by the FRS is behind in terms of where the rest of the world is. Now, to your question about, we have other federations around the world. There's Brazil, there's Canada, there's the US, there's India. These guys are collecting, consumption taxes. What are they doing? What they're doing is, in Brazil, for example, Brazil has the federal VAT and they have the state sales and services tax. Canada has goods and services tax at the federal. They also have their provinces, if they want. They also have GST. In India, they also have the federal. They have the ones that they do at the subnational level. The US has only sales tax. Now, what's common to all of this is that every single one of these federations only allow their state to impose consumption tax on consumption within their territory. Nobody is allowing them to do interstate. Nobody is allowing them to do international. But the laws we have seen from Lagos State and Rivers State have decided that they will impose their taxes on everything, including international. In fact, they have it there. Imports is there. So this raises a lot of questions. If you have different rates, like you have in Lagos, it's at 6%. If I then buy things, or let's say I import them and I pay 7.5% input VAT, would Lagos State be able to give me my input credit? Because margin in Nigeria is very slim. So even though I'm adding a margin to it, at the end of the day, my 7.5% is likely to be more than the 6% that Lagos State is asking me to pay. Now, the 6% of Lagos State will be fine if they are confined in their VAT to consumption that is strictly within Lagos State. Not anything from other states, not anything from international transactions. So this is where the complications will come from. What I've also noticed is that, I've been practicing taxation now for over 20 years in Nigeria. I have not been able to get a refund once from any state authority in Nigeria. Not one. So when you end up with a refund, it's gone. It's don't just bother. You won't get the money back from any of them.
Chief?
So I used to be the head of product at a payment processing company, so I know exactly what Taiwo is talking about when it comes to getting refunds. But you see, again, that's a question of tech, and it's like Taiwo said. He said we shouldn't go back to 1993. It's the same thing. Like even this issue of not getting refunds is a 1993 problem or a 1983 problem. We should be demanding better. We shouldn't say let's retreat our laws, to the past because we don't expect that our administrators will be able to do the right thing for today's world. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like the truth of the matter is simply this: if Pakistan can do provincial level VAT, setting of VAT, collecting of VAT, redistribution of VAT at the provincial level, then it's not rocket science. No disrespect to Pakistan, who actually has a nuclear program. So but the truth of the matter is this: the fact that Nigeria has failed at all levels, local, state, and federal, to manage its affairs properly. It's not a good enough reason to impose either one, archaic laws, or two, unconstitutional laws, or both. Like at some point we have to say, well, let's just do the right thing and expect and hold our government to the correct standard. Taiwo is right that no state government should have any business imposing VAT on imports, right? That's a purely national level issue. He's also right that there need to be rules for interstate charging of VAT, but again, not rocket science. Like, so for instance, even within the EU, which is of course a special case because it's not actually a country, but it's a you have origination rules for VAT. So if it's charged within your so the templates for doing that are there. You can simply say, okay, every state you can charge VAT on transactions that originate in your state. And then if it's a long chain of transactions, once that service is now moving on interstate, the other state now takes over. That can be challenged in the court. But we don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. We don't, because Rivers State and Lagos State have overstepped and are now trying to claim VAT on import and interstate. We don't, because of that overstep, now say that the one that they are entitled to, which is VAT setting and collection within their boundaries, then we have to throw that out as well. So what needs to happen is, since 1999, for the last 2 decades, the federal government has overstepped and has cheated the states. Now, right now, these laws that Rivers and Lagos are trying to pass have overstepped in the aspect of interstate and import. But they have not overstepped in the point of charging VAT within their borders. So what I think every well-meaning Nigerian should be saying is, okay, let's chop the rice and leave the stone. Let's maybe challenge these laws so that the courts can, add some sanity and ring fence them and say, no, charge VAT and collect VAT within your border. Every other thing, leave it. I think that's where we should get to.
Okay, let's take a few calls and then we'll come back to the gentleman in the studio. We've got Andy here. We've got Taiwo here. Andy is a product management executive who is also a public policy analyst. And Taiwo is a tax expert. He is with PwC. He's their fiscal policy partner and Africa tax leader. And he's been on the show before. This is his second appearance. And we're talking about the VAT battle. Who will win? 0700-993-993-993 0700-993-993. Share your thoughts via WhatsApp as well. WhatsApp is 080-959-75825. We're streaming live on Facebook, Nigeria Info 99.3, YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. What questions do you have for my guests? Do you support River State's move to decentralize VAT collection and distribution? Azubike, I think, is in Oshodi. Azubike, thank you so much for calling us.
His Excellency President Sandra.
Good to have you on the show.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You're highly welcome back.
Thank
I missed
you.
you last week.
Good to be back.
But I thank God.
Yeah.
God has brought you back.
Thank you.
Okay. My guest in the studio also, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, my question is that since that Rivers State and Lagos State government have decided to collect valid other tax, I totally concur with those two states because time has come that every state should develop its resources and use it to pay their civil servants and others than federal government collecting value-added tax from each state in the taxes legislation. Is wrong because some of other states are producing more and use it to settle other states that is not producing anything. And that is why our governors have neglected some of our resources that each state have because of their collecting federal allocation. That is why federal government is using that opportunity to be costly banding by collecting tax in all the other systems of legislation. Let every state develop the resources and pay tax to the federal government.
Thank you very much for calling, Azubike. Alaba Alakpe says, Sandra, tell your guest, even as FG is collecting the VAT for the last 28 years and still counting, it's still not good. What are they using the 15% to do. Look, I think we should let the states too collect for 28 years and see if it won't be used judiciously. Mr. Taiwo is sounding as if he's a PR to the federal government. Mr. Taiwo, if federal government continues, states will continue going into poverty and the feeding bottle system will continue and the states will fail to look inward. Alaba Alakle from Sabo Ijewu. Thank you for your message. We've got Alebiosu, I hope Florence Atinuke says the one either state or FIRS with superior arguments will win the case. On a moral ground, the states should collect revenue and give agreed percentage to the center for the purpose of national agenda. Federal government is just like secretariat for the federating units. States make up a federation, not federal to states. But the lawyers should guide us better. Okay. We've got Emmanuel Adams who says, brilliant discussion, Madam Sandra. I urge other states to wake up and start working and stop depending on the center, especially my governor, Bakul Along of Plateau. Chima Nelson says, VAT is first port of call for restructuring. Robbing Peter to pay Paul system is over. Well, we've got David Inibeshe on the line. David, how are you?
Good afternoon, Sandra.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
Yes. Concerning this issue which your guests have analyzed, I just wish, because court too can always make law. And we have a fundamental problem here, and that's why they are dragging the technicalities. You know, we are a federal state, and the major features of federal state is resource control. So it's just unfortunate, and it's the pure truth. Our present constitution is a fraud, because if our founding fathers agree that we should practice a federal state, and we are still, and that is still our identity to date, Federal Republic of Nigeria. So if some people have just gathered and used force to change the whole thing to start causing confusion in the country, I think the judges, at least for once and for all, give a judgment that we, point the attention of the whole country back to that, because they say the foundation is destroyed. What can the righteous do? Point us to the foundation so that we can go back and everything will start falling in place again.
David, thank you for calling. Anonymous is on the line. Anonymous, we've got 1 minute for you. Go ahead.
Okay. If my governor decides to take the VAT, he has a very good reason to do that. That is the Rivers State governor.
Okay.
And then he's a lawyer. Before he has signed that into law, he has done the findings. So it's not out of place because he's judiciously making use of it.
Okay. All right, Anonymous. Thank you very much for calling. We'll take one final call and then take a commercial break. 0700-993-993 01465-7190. You're listening to Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Who will win the VAT battle? That's the question on our minds today. Well, I've got about 25 seconds. I don't know if the person who's calling right now wants to speak for all of 25 seconds. Do you want to speak for 25 seconds?
Yeah, let me just do that. Good evening, Sandra.
Go ahead. You've got 20 seconds now.
Yeah, actually, what your guest said, it was based on his analysis. I think the state is in the good side also, but the federal government, that means in other way, they have been collecting VAT illegally, because if law says that a state has the liberty to do that, then why is it that the federal government has they have been doing this for a very long period of time?
All right, let's take a break.
Charles!
Yes, mommy?
Go and bring 2 sachets of hypo bleach for me.
Why 2?
Because I'm using one to soak the whites and using one to kill all the germs.
But I don't see any germs here.
They are so tiny you can't see them, but they are there. And that is why I trust only hypo bleach to kill them all.
Make your white fabrics whiter and your household free of illness causing germs and viruses with the disinfecting power of hypo bleach.
We are gathered here to share the properties of my late brother, Chief Akpandodo. I am sure I am in the best position to know who gets what. Yes, all my brother's houses in Banana Island, Eco Atlantic, Abuja, and London, and all his cars shall be mine. His wife and children can keep the house at Paja. Bingpe Akpandodo. I give you and the kids 7 days to vacate this house and hand over the keys.
You can never leave the future of your family to the hands of another. Protect your loved ones today with our simple online will writing service, Will Power. You can create your will and secure your wishes. Avoid family feuds and legal battles. Call 01-453-7060, 0906-000-5254 or visit www.willpower.ng to get started. UTL Trustees, protecting the future since 1966.
Babe, that girl must be using something.
Hey, Berry, what kind of something?
You to see how she's always smiling, displaying her 32.
You're cuckoo right. I know her secrets. I know what she's using. She uses it twice a day.
Tell me her secrets.
I'll give you a hint. ABZ.
ABZ?
Yes, ABZ is the secret. Close-Up contains antibacterial zinc, ABZ, which gives you 3 times more freshness and 3 times more protection. Better than your regular toothpaste. Now you know the ABZ secret.
The new Close-Up is her secret. Everybody must hear.
You can't keep a secret.
New Close-Up with antibacterial zinc. Triple the freshness, triple the protection.
Calling on all streamers, gamers, and heavy data-based business machines. Glow is giving you a mega data plan that's truly out of this world. For 100,000 naira, you get a whopping 1 terabyte of data that carries you for a whole year. Wow, yes, you heard right. 1 terabyte for 100,000 naira. So go ahead, chat, stream HD videos, post, upload, download, and enjoy mega data as much as you want. 247 365. Dial star 777 hash to subscribe today.
Glow Unlimited.
When woman become mama, e get another level where she dey take the city. So mama sabi when we get like pain dey knock for door. Mama no send o. She carry M&B paracetamol tablet wey dey kick pain with alacrity. The red one or the syrup wey get pineapple taste take sama aches and pains comot for her family. Mama dem wey wise up trust me and Becca past 70 years when e don dey take care of people body. Abeg, make you give aches and pains red card with M&B paracetamol. If wetin dey do you no vamoose after 3 days, abeg go see your doctor. M&B paracetamol. Pain no fit stop you.
Coming! Oh, Vincent, just the person I want to see. You're welcome. Please sit down, sit down.
What happened, Chief? You're looking all bright and cheerful today, unlike last week when...
Forget about last week. I now have my insurance policy from Linkage Assurance PLC. That means all my containers, motor vehicles, and my warehouse are well protected.
Hey, I hear that Linkage Assurance PLC is now bigger,
yes,
bolder,
yes,
and better to offer various classes of insurance like motor insurance, oil and gas, fire and burglary, agriculture, marine and aviation, and general accident insurance with prompt claim settlement.
To get your Linkage Assurance policy, please call 0700 546 52273. Linkage Assurance PLC. Protection that counts.
Sure you wanna feel that boost? Allow me to introduce Amber Energy Drink. No more shutting down, we're going up. Oh yeah, get ready, stimulate your energy. Amber is the remedy. Go around, tell somebody. Oh yeah, get ready, stimulate your energy. Amber is the remedy. Go around, tell somebody. Say, what are you waiting for? Yeah, now you can do more because Amber
Do you have a great business idea? Unicave, in partnership with LSETF and NBCC, invites you to the Entrepreneurship Summit of the Year to raise the spirit of innovation and empower the entrepreneurs of tomorrow. Join the Entrepreneurship Summit 2021 on Friday, 24th of September at 11 a.m. via Zoom. Find out how you can get access to seed funding and resources. Learn practical business hacks from leading industry experts. Submit your business idea and get a chance to win Unicave Entrepreneurship Awards. Access up to 75% scholarship to study online with reputable British partner universities. Call 07000 111 000. That is 07000 111 000 to reserve your spot today.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
Your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
It's 5:33. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. Who will win the VAT battle? All 36 states are in a dispute with the federal government over stamp duties because it's not just VAT, it's all of it that the states are coming for now. I've got two experts in the studio. Well, one in the studio with me, the other joining us via Zoom. Taiwo Yedele is fiscal policy partner and Africa tax leader at PwC. Chief Andy Oboforibo is a product management executive as well as a public policy analyst, and they've been trying to answer this question for us right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info. If you've just tuned in, we're streaming live on Facebook as well as YouTube. Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3, YouTube is Nigeria Info FM. This revenue battle is taking on another dimension, and I'm going to come to Taiwo with that particular question. Bayelsa State government has ordered oil companies to start paying their staff's income tax in Bayelsa rather than Lagos for oil workers in the state. And it raises a question about whether Lagos will actually benefit from a decentralized tax system. What if every state tells companies not to pay all their taxes in Lagos simply because their headquarters are in Lagos? It leans very much into the headquarters effect that Taiwo likes to talk about. I'll be asking you this same question as well, Chief Oboforibo, but let me hear Taiwo first.
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, many politicians don't understand the tax system at all. So they tend to dissipate their energy in the wrong places. So personal income tax is very clearly stated in the law. So you pay your personal income tax in the state where you are resident. So I don't see any oil company who is paying personal income tax in Lagos if the employees are in Bayelsa. So this is a waste of time, in my view. So if there are instances where you think that the taxes are not being paid correctly, you do a tax audit. That's why you have a tax authority to do that. So I would say that's a no issue at all. It's a no issue. It's already been taken care of by our laws. One of your callers said I was sounding like I was doing PR for federal government. So let me just explain my position. I'm doing PR for the Nigerian people. So a lot of Nigerian people, they don't know that this issue is not between federal government and state. It's between government and the people. No matter how you dice it, federal government will win. And I'll tell you why. If the Supreme Court rules against Rivers State and Lagos State, the status quo will continue. Federal government will continue to collect their 15%, right? If the Supreme Court rules in favor of Rivers State and Lagos State and the other states, federal government will be able to collect about 60% of VAT, which they can either keep or they can share it. If it goes to federation account, they get about 52% of it, and that's more than twice what they're getting now. So I'm not advocating for federal government, far from it. My issue is that Nigerians don't know what these things mean. They are queuing behind the state without asking a lot of questions. I've said that we're going to 1993 instead of starting from 2021. We have seen even the EU, that is not even a country, it's a continent, almost a continent, right? Are thinking about, can we unify VAT so that anybody in the business within the EU, we file and pay centrally, and we can then share it to countries. This is countries, so we have seen Canada, where even some of the provinces said, you know what, we want to harmonize with the federal. So just collect. The fact that people have to fly to Abuja to share money is a problem in Nigeria. You don't have to fly. You can even get the payments on a daily basis. So it's not like a baby or feeding bottle federalism, like some people like to put it. The issue is that what the states are doing now, the exemption we fought so hard to get for small businesses, we've lost it. They are not putting exemption for small businesses in their laws. The exemption for items that people consume, including food items, some of them, including tuition for going to school, we have lost them. So when everything settles and people cool down, they'll realize that they have been supporting states without asking the right questions. By the way, I'm a consultant. If states win this argument, I'll make plenty of money because instead of helping my client to file his FRS, I'll help them to file with 37 authorities. Plenty of money for me. If I want to be selfish, I should queue behind the state. So just to clarify to your guests, I'm supporting Nigerian people.
Chief of Bufferbo, so first of all, do you agree with him that the Bayelsa situation is a non-issue? And then would you like to address some of the points that he's just raised?
Yeah, I'll come back to the Bayelsa issue last.
Okay.
So let me just raise these 2 points. So first, the issue of federal government benefiting more because federal government is going to keep 60% of VAT because 50% of VAT is, import, international VAT. That's today, right?
Okay.
Moses didn't come down from Mount Sinai with tablets engraved in stone that VAT will always be 60% import and 40% domestic, right? The reason why we have that equation right now is because, domestic economic activity to generate VAT is just simply has not been high enough, right? So it's very possible that, let's say the states get the ability to keep their own VAT and the federal government now keeps the lion's share of VAT coming from outside, and yes, federal government is the winner today. It's very possible that we fast forward 20 years from today to 2041 and we see that the states have been forced to become so industrious that now they have grown their VAT base to the point that federal government share of VAT is now only 20% and state share is 80%. Or we could fast forward 20 years from now and see that it has not changed, it's still 60%. So again, we don't legislate based on the current economic setup. We legislate to create a better economic setup.
But doesn't that make my life harder as a small business owner? Because I'm the one who's going to have to pay more.
No. I'm not saying, I didn't say like charge a higher VAT.
Not charge. Work harder to get domestic VAT. Right?
No. Work harder to get domestic VAT is simply encouraging states to create the policies that enable people to set up more businesses and do more economic activity that is VATable. Right? Okay. The problem we have, or one of the problems, there are many problems, but one of the problems we have, and like the Adamawa state government put it perfectly, and he added his own states as one of the problem, is that a lot of state governments simply have no incentive to create this cliche enabling environment that allows people to set up businesses, right? And to stimulate economic activity that will raise VAT revenue or other taxes.
But will those businesses not qualify as small businesses like Taiwo has said?
And again, so now coming to that point, this is again that same baby with the bathwater argument. So are we saying that the only way states can control VAT is if states remove the exceptions for small businesses and states remove the exceptions for food? Can't we pinpoint that and say, hey, state, yes, we are for you. We support your right to create your own VAT and collect and do all that. But hey, leave the small businesses alone. The same way, like Taiwo said, all the hard work that went into convincing the federal government to put these exceptions in place. Why are we suddenly unable to do that hard work to help to force the state government to have the same exceptions? Again, baby bathwater. Like I don't think this is something. Why are we acting like it must be a package deal? Like the only way states can pass their own VAT laws is if they insist on collecting import VAT, and if they insist on collecting interstate VAT, and if they insist on taxing small businesses, and if they insist on taxing food. Why can't we chop the rice and leave the stone? Tell the states, yes, pass your VAT laws, but we want these amendments. Only 2 states now, or maybe about to be 3, have passed VAT laws. So we still have like 33 states to go, right? So why don't we, if we all want the better system, why don't we push in that direction? And I agree with Taiwo. Taiwo points out that, a lot of countries now are talking about going back to re-centralizing and all of that. But that's because, the EU could have centralized VAT collection 25 years ago. Part of the reason why a lot of these countries have gone around the long way is that they had to get out all these kinks out of the system. We have more kinks in the system. We have serious trust issues. We have legal problems. We have to work through all those things. We have, states that simply refuse to pull their own weight. And that includes Lagos and Rivers. So I'm not saying that, So as long as those problems exist, then we can't just simply say, well, let's just do what every other person is doing. Let's centralize and all of that. No, let's get to the point where the states are ready to take on their own weight. And it's not just in VAT and taxation, by the way. This is a problem all throughout. We had the same, when we talk about state police, it comes down to the same problem. Some states say they are willing to take it on. Other states say, we don't have the resources. I'm sorry, your state has been a state for 60 years, 50 years, 30 years. Why have you not, with all this money coming in from all these revenue sources and all this allocation being shared, why have you not been able to create the capacity for yourself to do these things? Like, why, fundamentally? And as long as we keep on saying, well, some states are not able, what we are saying is nobody should grow. The analogy I like to give, imagine that, if there's a family with 7 children and 3 of them decide to go to school and they're making money, the other 4 decided not to go to school. And we now decide that, everybody, let's be centralizing everybody's revenue, salary and sharing to everybody. The 4 that did not go to school will never feel the incentive to do anything better.
Isn't that what's happening in most families in Nigeria today?
Well, look at where Nigeria is.
Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to the phone lines. 0700-993-993-993 01465-7190. Women call me on 01465-7190. Men call me on 0700-993-993. Chief, you didn't address the Bielsa situation, though. Can you very quickly address that before we talk to
I
Emmanuel?
agree that, I don't understand what Governor Diri is trying to say. Okay. But the thing is, at the end of the day, every state should go and fight their case like this. Let all of them be going to court. Some will win, some will lose. What we'll end up with at the end of all the chaos is a clear path of who owns what. I refer everybody to the issue with excess crude. Under Obasanjo, if you as a state try to say peep about the excess crude, you got beat down. Right? And everybody just took it for granted that the federal government should set the excess crude levels and collect that revenue and everything. It was illegal. It was unconstitutional. But it took the states, the governors' forum, shouting about it. And we had Yaradua, who was a different type of president, who said, okay, you know what? Yes, I've looked at it, and this is actually illegal. It's unconstitutional. Go ahead. And then that's when we now started seeing states having more of a say in their revenue. You need sometimes to fight these things. And sometimes the argument will be a foolish one. But at the end of the day, if all the states go like this, and the federal government go like, we all press their case, everybody goes to court. Eventually, some of these lacunas and all these things will be cleared up.
Okay. Emmanuel is in Ogun State. Emmanuel, how are you?
Yeah, good evening. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Go ahead.
And I thank you. I think I will agree with the Chief.
Okay.
Now, why was federal government trying to, cut corner by going to National Assembly to change something to correct something? That is number one. You see, so we are the one talking about true federalism that some people, I think, Sandra, please one day, we don't know anything, you have to educate us on what is called restructuring true federalism. Because some people are proponents of restructuring through federalism, but when it comes to issue of VAT now, they are supporting that, they are saying that federal government should continue. One of them is Prince YS, because I always listen to him on Info FM, saying that restructuring through federalism, but now he's opposing state collecting VAT. You see? So if we now get through federalism, will he call on Southeast to support Southwest or Southwest to support North Central? It doesn't make any sense. So it's like some of us, we are not educated enough. We don't know what is called true federalism. So I think the case is now in court now. Let it continue. If state loses, I agree. But I think we must have learned something. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Emmanuel. Aliyu says he's from Kogi State and he wishes that states should collect their tasks and not just VAT, but he's just scared that it will make the rich states overpopulated. He says he's also a Muslim and he's happy that some states that try to instill sanity to their various states will not be so will now be will not, okay, be so comfortable to earn from such haram source. Let the states collect all taxes and develop their lands and just report to FG so that there's less burden on the FG and there's also a reduction of allowances. I also pray that people go back to develop their states of origin or else the rich states will be choked up. I respect Obweni Taiwo's analysis and I respect that Katsina governor because he's just saying the undisputable actual fact. Aliyu is presently at Ikola Ilumo. Aliyu, thank you very much for your message. That actually brings me to my next point. Governor Masari says that Lagos depends on the rest of Nigeria for its market, so Lagos should not try to monopolize revenues. What do you say to that, Taiwo?
Yeah, so so unfortunately, Nigeria, we're not very good with data. So we don't use data for making decisions. So as we speak now, no state knows that whether they will collect more or less under a state VAT regime, not even Lagos State. Because like I always say, so you have a lot of transactions that are reported in Lagos, even though they're not generated in Lagos. Once everybody starts enacting their own VAT law, you'll find that Lagos State is going to lose more than half of what is being reported today. Because if you look at Nigeria's GDP, right, Lagos is about 30% of Nigeria in terms of GDP. Lagos State currently shares about 30% of VAT that is collected within states. So they may find out that at the end of the day, they will lose out. Will they be able to benefit over the next 10, 20 years? I doubt it. States have been collecting personal income tax since independence, right? Since we decided we're going to have states, maybe not independence, because at the time we didn't have states. So, but up to today, states are barely scratching the surface. They are not even collecting up to 10% of what South Africa is collecting. So states are not going to suddenly become creative because of that. They're going to get aggressive, not creative. Part of what you're going to be seeing is under the national VAT, food item, raw food item are VAT exempt. By the time you disaggregate it and my state somewhere in the north that is producing cows and tomato for everybody, we don't have that. I will impose VAT on my tomato. The rest of you will worry about it. So that is not being creative, that's being aggressive. My view is that the Constitution may not say something, but the Constitution itself should not be cast in stone. Saving money from excess crude, for example, is a good thing, but it's not in the Constitution. What should we do? We should rewrite or amend the Constitution. How we collect VAT is not in the Constitution. We should sit down now and say, what is the best way to collect VAT for our level of development and what we want for our country and our people, and then write it. It could have been that even if states were to collect VAT ultimately, we'll sit down under the NEC, that's the National Economic Council, where you have all the governors, engage the best brains in Nigeria and around the world to develop a model for you, a model legislation that will not take us back to 1993, that will leapfrog and let everybody domesticate it in their states. Okay. But the way we are going about it now is wholesale chaos, and it's not good for the Nigerian people.
All right, we've got 2 minutes, and then we have to wrap up. Chief, I'm asking the same question as well. Again, of course, Taiwo made some points, but all of those points were from the question about Masari, Governor Masari of Katsina, saying that Lagos depends on the rest of Nigeria, so we shouldn't, Lagos shouldn't try to monopolize revenues. What do you say to that?
Well, I say, Taiwo is right when he says that nobody knows who will benefit and who will not benefit, which states will and will not benefit. That is why it is a bad idea to agree or disagree with this thing based on assessment on which states will or will not benefit immediately. What we should be thinking about is what system is more likely to encourage creativity and boost economic development. Taiwo says that there is no evidence that state governments, if given more control over VAT, will do better. After all, what have they done with the taxes they've already collected? Well, same can be said about the federal government. What has the federal government done with all the taxes it has been collecting? It's been collecting the lion's share of VAT. It hasn't done anything with it and every other thing. So we have a general problem in Nigeria. There's no tier of government that has been fiscally responsible or fiscally accountable. So fiscal accountability cannot be used as the argument. So the question now becomes, which is the best way to ensure that there are more centers of power which could possibly give rise to an improvement somewhere? And really, decentralization is it. Now, in terms of, like Taiwo says, well, Lagos will lose half its revenue. Lagos is currently at 30%, meaning the rest of Nigeria is 70%, right? So if Lagos loses half its revenue, Lagos drops to 15%, and the rest of Nigeria goes up to 85%. That sounds to me like a general good for the whole country. You know, so I think, and then Taiwo says that we should be thinking about more progressive or constructive ways to do it. And actually, you know, as the tax professional and the tax consultant, that's what I was hoping to hear from him, because the states have taken these actions, and he's saying, no, they shouldn't do it. But what I didn't expect to be the one saying, okay, no, let's not throw away the baby with the bathwater. The states have started here, but okay, let's change this and let this be. I expected that to be coming from him and the other tax professionals. But there seems to be this idea that it's either we stick to what the federal government has been doing up until now, or otherwise there will be some sort of anarchy. But look, there's anarchy already. Like, the federal government spends 90%, 98% of its revenue right now on debt servicing. That is a drunken sailor.
Okay.
So we can't at this point say, well, let's keep the status quo.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I wish we had more time, but we're completely out of time. Completely. I've had Chief Andy Oboforibo in the studio. I've also had, joining us via Zoom, Taiwo Oyedele, who is Fiscal Policy Partner and Africa Tax Leader at PwC. Chief Oboforibo is a Product Management Executive. He's also a Public Policy Analyst. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili on social media. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sandra.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, the news is next. Those are your hard facts, Lagos. Good night.
More news and information coming up. We'll be back in a moment.
Yes, Sandra, you didn't allow me to tell Andy that
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info.